is Melissa Valentine. Welcome to Labana Soaps. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I like to make my little soaps that I call honey gems. These are with melt and pour soap, and I'm going to start with about a pound of melt and pour soap. I'm going to be chopping it up into little bits so that it will melt quicker and more evenly. And also my colorant. This is basically a little mix that I like to use. You can use whatever mix you like, but this is the one I like. It's basically just some turmeric and a couple of micas that I think make it look more honey-like and golden. You can fool around with your colors to bring it to whatever color you think looks the most like honey. And I've dispersed them in a little bit of rubbing alcohol. You just stir it very, very well, and you can then pour it into your melt and pour like a liquid colorant. It works so much better than trying to do it with dry pigment powders, and it's cheaper, I think, than buying liquid colorant. It also gives you more freedom, makes it so that you can take whatever powdered colorants you have on hand that you really, really like and turn them into a liquid colorant. You can also disperse it in a little bit of glycerin. That works just as well. I usually cut my melt and pour into little thin blocks like this, and then I cut them into smaller pieces, and you'll see that almost every soaper who deals with melt and pour does it in a similar way. Really don't recommend trying to heat it up in one big chunk, because you'll have to, some of it won't be melted, some of it will, and then the parts that do melt faster are going to be overheated. So chopping it up like this really helps. I'm just going to dump those in there. They're sticking together, so I'm breaking them up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of it in the same way, and I'll meet you back here. So whenever you're working with a single cavity mold like this, you always want to put something under it like a cutting board, so that you'll be able to move it around without it, flopping about and spilling or anything. I mean, obviously don't turn it over, but if you were to pick this up while it were full, it would be very hard to move without spilling. So the cutting board just makes that easier. And our melt and pour is nice and melted down, so we're just gonna give it a nice stir here to keep it liquid. And I'm going to re-stir my colors because they tend to settle on you if you let them sit too long. And I'm just going to add enough to where it's the color that I want before I pour it into my mold. Before I do that, I'm actually going to add my fragrance. I'm using brambleberries, oatmeal milk, and honey, about 4.5 grams per pound of soap. And I use the brambleberries soap calculator, well, actually their fragrance calculator, to determine that. I'll go ahead and stir that in, and then I'm going to add my colors. Okay, we'll just see how that does. That's actually pretty close to where I like it. I think I might just stop there. Okay, now I like to spray my mold with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, but it's up to you. I feel like the soaps just spread out better when I do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour these in there. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to save what's left to put in a different mold, like little smaller sample molds that I have. And the tops I'm going to spray with some rubbing alcohol to pop all those bubbles. See? Just like that. Poof, gone. Okay. Beautiful. I'm going to let that set up for a few hours, and then we're going to pop them out of the mold and show you what they look like when they're done. Now I kind of did what they did on the cooking shows, where they swap out when they have one that's already done. And so that's what I did here. These are ones that I made a few hours ago. And I always feel like they get a little less see-through when they set up a bit, but it's still, you can still kind of see through them, like you could see daylight through these. So I'm going to take this out of the mold here, and it just has a really pretty honeycomb look to it. Do they all? You push on the bottom and they pop right out, but honestly I did this beforehand. I should have done this on camera, but I pull on the sides like this on all directions, and then I press up from the bottom, and that just releases them much better. So these are just really cute, and they're super quick to make. They have a nice pretty translucent color. They lather and bubble beautifully. Okay, that's it for my melt and pour honey gem video. I hope you like this. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Click the little bell notification so you'll be notified when I post a new video. And go do a fun DIY project. It's good for the soul.